Hey there, students. This is part one of the CST review questions. I'm going to be going over some questions in the released CST questions. Okay, so the title of this clip is CST review for Algebra 1. Algebra 1. And this is part one. Okay, so let's go ahead and start off by looking at number one. And number one, we're asked, is equation 3 times quantity 2x minus 4 equals negative 18 equivalent to 6x minus 12 equals negative 18? So yes, they're all yeses. The last one is no, they're not equivalent. So let's see what property we're using here. We have 3 times 2x minus 4 equals negative 18. Anytime you see parentheses, you want to distribute, right? You want to distribute the number on the outside to the quantities on the inside. So you have 6x minus 12 equals negative 18. Okay, is this what we have over here? Is it equivalent to that? Yes, they are equivalent. On the what property, though? This is distribution, so it is the distributive property. So this is associative. Associative is when you have A times B times C equals A times B times C. Alright, associative has to do with including parentheses, grouping. Commutative is basically A times B. When you reverse the order, are they the same? No reversal here. And then distribution is when you have A, B plus C, and then you just distribute to whatever you have on the inside. So in this case, we're distributing here, so our answer is C. Yes, equations are equivalent by the distributive property. So our answer for this one is C. Alright, let's take a look at number 2. Number 2, it says, which statement is false? The order in which two whole numbers are subtracted does not affect the difference. The order in which two whole numbers are added does not affect the sum. The order in which two rational numbers are added doesn't affect the sum. The order in which two rational numbers are multiplied doesn't affect this product. So the question is, which of these fall under order or under commutative property? Remember, commutative property, property has to do with order. Okay, has to do with order. Okay, so remember, commutative property applies to addition because A plus B equals B plus A. And it also applies to multiplication because A times B equals B times A. Right? Regardless of whether it's whole number or rational or irrational, the commutative property applies here. But guess what? The opposite of these operations, it does not apply. So A minus B is not always equal to B minus A. This is not always the case. Okay, not always the case. And A divided by B is not always equal to B divided by A. It's not always the case. Okay, so which one always works? We know that for addition and multiplication, the commutative property holds. All right, so whenever you look at let's look at order here. For this one, if we look at order, order subtraction. We have a problem here. Subtraction is not closed under commutative property. This one says order in which numbers are added. Well, that's good. B is good. C, two rational numbers are being added. That's good because addition is commutative. And order in which two rational numbers are multiplied is good also because multiplication is commutative. So the answer here is A because subtraction is not commutative. Alright? Okay, let's move on to question number 3. Number 3 says, what is the square root of 16 plus the cube root of 8? So for number 3, square root of 16 plus the cube root of 8. Square root basically means that if you have a pair, they come out as a whole. And cube root means if you have triples, they come out as a whole. So if we break this down, take out 2 times 8, and then 2 times 4, and then 2 times 2. Alright, so we can group them. These two 2's come out as 1. as a 2. Because square root has an imaginary 2 here, right? You're looking for doubles of pairs. And then these two 2's comes out as a 2. So square root of 16 is basically equal to 2 times 2, which is 4. How about a cube root of 8? How can we break down 8? We take out 2 times 4, and then break down 2. 4 is 2 times 2. For cube root, you can only take out triples. So do we have a number that's 3 times here that repeats itself twice? Yes. We have 2 3 times. Since this is cube root, this 3 just comes out as a 2. Okay? So the cube root of 8 is simply 2. So we're looking for the sum. So the square root of 16 plus the cube root of 8, let's rewrite it. The square root of 16 plus the cube root of 8 is the same thing as the square root of 16, which is 4, as we did over here, plus the cube root of 8, which is 2. And when we add both of them, we get 6. So our answer for number 3 is B. Okay? Alright, let's move on to number 4. Number 4, it says which is equivalent to this expression right here. That one is testing your knowledge of the multiplication rule for exponents. Okay, so for number 4, the rule you want to remember is a to the x times a to the y. And you're multiplying two exponents with the same base, you simply add the exponents. If it's division, you subtract, okay? So in this case, we have x to the 6 times x squared, which is x to the 6 plus 2, x to the 8. Now, which of these powers add up to 8? For A, x to the 4, x to the 3rd, that one is x to the 7. That's wrong. For B, we have x to the 5th, x to the 3rd. We add the powers, x to the 8th. Voila, that's the one we need. This one is x to the 10, this is x to the 12. So these two fail. So our answer for number 4 is B. Alright, number 5. It says, scroll it down so you can see the whole thing. Which does not have a reciprocal? Which ones can we not reciprocate? Reciprocate basically means that you put a 1 on the bottom and you switch it around, or you put a 1 on top of the number. Okay? So let's start with the A part, -1. What is the reciprocal of -1? Just put 1 on top, or you flip -1. So if we have -1, it's not a fraction, so we make it a fraction, and we flip it. Okay? The reciprocal of -1 is going to be, if I raise this to -1, if I reciprocate it, it's going to be 1 over -1, which is just -1. Is there such a number as -1? Yes, so that's fine. Okay. How about 0? If I take 0 and I want to reciprocate it, I raise it to the -1 power. When I flip this, it becomes 1 over 0. What is 1 over 0? It's undefined. So this is a problem. 0 does not have a reciprocal. Okay? So B is the answer. Let's just go on and try C though. 1 over 1,000, if I reciprocate this, 1 goes to the bottom, and 1,000 comes to the top. So we're going to have 1,000 over 1, which is 1,000, which is perfectly fine. Alright? And then D, if we wanted to reciprocate 3, we just make it over 1, raise it to -1, and then when we flip it, it becomes 1/3, which is perfectly fine. So our answer for number 5 is B. Alright, moving along to number 6. It says, what is the multiplicative inverse of 1/2? Multiplicative inverse is what you multiply -1/2 by to get the identity, which is 1. So what can I multiply 1/2 by to get 1? Let's see. Is it -2? Is it -1/2? 1/2 for 2. I need this 2 to cancel out with this 2, so I need a 2 up here. And then I need a 1 down here. So when I multiply it across, it works out. So the multiplicative inverse of 1/2 is simply 2 over 1, which is just 2. Okay? Remember, it's not asking for the inverse. The inverse of 1/2 is -2. Okay? The question asks for multiplicative inverse, and this is different from it. This is not what the question is asking you for. It's asking you for the inverse. The inverse is simply what you multiply the fraction by to get 1. That's a multiplicative inverse. Alright? But just the inverse by itself is -2. So our answer for this question is D. Okay? Alright. Let's move on to number 7. It says, what is the solution of the equation? Absolute value of 2x minus 3 equals 5. So absolute value of 2x minus 3 equals 5. Absolute value is distance from 0. So how many units is 5 from 0? Either to the left or to the right. So we'll make that plus or minus 2x minus 3 equals 5. This is what absolute value means. Plus or minus to the left or right gives you 5. Okay? So we're going to split this equation into two. The negative part and the positive part. Alright, let's solve this. This one is like there's a 1 here, so you distribute the negative to both of these, which flips the sign. Negative 2x plus 3 equals 5. Subtract 3 from both sides, and then you have negative 2x equals 2. Divide both by negative 2. And then you have x equals 1. So there goes your first answer. Naturally, it's x equals negative 1 because this is positive. Positive over negative is negative. Okay, if the signs are different when dividing, you have a negative. If the signs are the same, you have a positive. Alright, so for this one, you add 3. You have 2x equals 8. Divide by 2. X equals 4. So our answer is x equals negative 1 or x equals 4. The answer for this one is C. Alright, let's move on to number 8. Number 8, it says, what is the solution sets of the inequality? 5 minus absolute value of x plus 4 is less than or equal to negative 3. So for this one, let's get the absolute value by itself first. So we need to get rid of the 5 and the negative. So let's first subtract 5 from both sides. We're going to have negative absolute value of x plus 4 is less than or equal to negative 8. To get rid of this minus, we divide both sides by negative 1. Anytime you divide by negative 1, you switch the inequality, right? So this becomes absolute value of x plus 4 is greater than or equal to 8. Now, if you have greater than or equal to, we have to split this equation. We can sandwich it, right? Because when we do a minus, this arrow points in a different direction. So we're going to go plus or minus x plus 4 is bigger than or equal to 8. Now, we're going to separate the equation into two parts. The negative part, x plus 4 greater than or equal to 8, or the positive part, x plus 4 greater than or equal to 8. Alright? So on the left side, distribute the minus to both. So we have negative x minus 4 is greater than or equal to 8. To finish this, we're going to add 4 and divide by negative 1. So let's do it. We add 4. We have negative x is greater than or equal to 12. Divide by negative 1. Anytime you divide an inequality by negative 1, you must reverse it, the inequality symbol, okay? So you're going to have x as less than or equal to minus over plus negative 12. Alright? And then the other one, just subtract 4 from both sides. Or this one, x is greater than or equal to 4. So either x is less than or equal to negative 12 or x is greater than or equal to 4. And there goes your final answer. Okay? There you have it. So the answer is D for number 8. Alright, moving along to number 9. It says, which is equivalent to 5x minus 2 times the quantity 7x plus 1 equals 14x. So if you look at the options, we don't have to solve it all the way, right? We just have to distribute and simplify the left side because the right side is unchanged. So let's simplify the left side as much as possible and see which math we can have. 7x plus 1 equals 14x. Okay, so if we distribute the negative 2 to these two numbers right here, we're going to have 5x minus 14x minus 2 equals 14x. Okay? And then we combine these two right here. 5 minus 14 is going to give us negative 9x minus 2 equals 14x. So remember that anytime you have the signs are different, you subtract. And the signs are the same, you add. So these two signs are different, so you subtract these two and keep the sign of the bigger one. That's why I have a minus 19x minus 2 equals 14x. So this one is equal to letter A. So this one is A. It matches A. Alright, now let's move on to number 10. Same type of problem. Number 10, it says, which is equivalent to that? So in this one, we don't solve it all the way. We basically have to distribute, collect like terms, combine like terms, and see what we get. Okay? Alright, you notice there's a lot of distributions here. On the left side, distribute the 4. Alright, and that yields 8 minus 20x equals 6, and then distribute the negative 3 on the right side to this one and this one. So you get negative 3 plus 9x. So let's collect the x's to the right side. Let's combine these two like terms first before we start collecting like terms. So 6 minus 3, 3 plus 9x. How about we move the x's to the right so that the result is positive, okay? So I want to add 20x to both sides. Add 20x, add 20x. And then we can subtract 3 from both sides to move it, but let me do this one first. So we have 8, we have 8 equals 3 plus 29x, and then you subtract 3 from both sides. Subtract 3, subtract 3, and then we have 5 equals 29x. Stop right here. Which one of them is like this? Number C, letter C is your answer for this one. So your answer for number 10 is C. Okay? Alright, let's move on to number 11. It says, which is equivalent to that? So in this example, what we're doing is similar to what we did before. We're not solving it completely, we're just simplifying the left side as much as we can. And then we're going to see which one matches it, because we have 16 on the right side. So we have 3 brackets 7x minus 4 times x minus 3 plus 1 equals 16. So for this one, we have to start from inside the parentheses and work our way out. Okay? Alright, so let's start from the inside. We're going to have, let's distribute the parentheses on the inside first. So minus 4 to this, two quantities here. It's going to give us 3 times, let me make this a parenthesis, 3 times 7x minus 4x plus 12 plus 1. Okay? And then when we combine these two on the inside, we're going to have 3 times 7x minus 4x is 3x plus 12 plus 1 equals 16. And then we distribute these 3 to the inside, alright? The inner has to be completely distributed before I do this, okay? So it makes it easier. So we're going to have 9x plus 36 plus 1 equals 16. Combine like terms, these are numbers. This is a variable, so leave the variable alone. Plus 37 equals 16. Final answer is B. Okay? Moving along to number 12. Number 12, it says the total cost in dollars of renting a sailboat for n days is given by the equation C equals 120 plus 60n. The total cost was $360. For how many days was the sailboat rented? So for number 12, we have C equals 120 plus 60n. So what is the cost? Is it C or N? C for cost, right? So we know that C equals 360, and N is what we're looking for. So let's plug in 360 into C and then solve it. Okay, so we're going to have 360 equals 120 plus 60n. So how do we get n by itself? Move the 120 over and divide by 60, right? So subtract 120 from both sides. 360 minus 120 is 240 equals 60n. and then divide both sides by 60, and then you're going to have n equals, zeros cancel out, so you're going to have 24 over 6. What is 24 divided by 6? Simply 4. So the number of days is going to be 4. And your answer for number 12 is B. Alright, let's move on to question number 13. It says, what is the first incorrect step? Let's see. If we're solving, let's start from the top of the problem and just solve our way down and see where the mistake is. So we had number 13, if we had 3 times x plus 5 equals 2x plus 35. If we distribute it first, let's see if step 1 is correct. We distribute 3x plus 15 equals 2x plus 35. Well, that's right. So step 1 is good. Step 2, we need to collect like terms. So we need to move 2x to the left, right? So what do? We subtract 2x from both sides. We do the opposite of this. So that gives us x plus 15 equals 35. Is that what we have? Nope. Actually, they added, which is wrong. We should not get rid of this. So the answer is step 2. That's the first incorrect step. Okay? Alright, let's move on to number 14. Number 14, it says a 12-foot long rope is cut into 3 pieces. The first piece is twice as long as the second, and the third is 3 times as long as the second. Since they're all described in terms of the second, it would be smart for us to basically use the second term as our variable, since it is described in terms of the second. So let's say that's a rope, okay? Let's break it into 3. This is not to scale, okay? This is the first, this is the second, and this is the third. It says the first is twice as long as the second. So this is, if the second is x, the first is going to be twice as long. And then the third is 3 times as long as the second. So this is x, this is going to be 3x. It says, what is the longest? What is the length of the longest piece? So which one is longer? So we're going to find x first and then determine the longest one, okay? What the length is. So if the entire length is 120, that means if I add all 3 together, this entire length of my rope is going to be 120. Alright, so how do I form an equation? It's going to be 2x plus x plus 3x equals 120. Add all the coefficients. Remember there's a 1 here. 2 plus 1 plus 3 is 6x equals 120. Divide both sides by 6. X is equal to 40. Alright? 40 feet. So is that the answer? 40 feet? Guess what? No, that is the distractor right here. This is the shortest one. The longest one is well, actually I made a mistake. This is supposed to be 20. 120 over 6 is 20. So 20 is the shortest one. So the longest one is going to be 3 times this. The longest one is 3x, which is 3 times 20, which is 60 feet. Okay? This piece right here is 20. This one is 3 times it, which is 60, and then this one is twice that, which is 120. If you add all these together, 120 plus 80, this is 40 right here. Sorry, this is 40. If I add them all together, 40 plus 20 plus 60, I'll get 120. Okay? So the longest one is the third piece, which is 3 times as long as the middle piece. So the longest is 60 feet. And the answer is C for this one. Alright, let's take a look at number 15. Alright, so let's move on to number 16. Alright, number 16, it says, what is the solution of the inequality x minus 5 is greater than 14? So to do this, all you just do is you add 4 to both sides. Add 5 to both sides to get x by itself. And then you have x is greater than 19. And your final answer is B. This one's pretty easy. Alright, Let's move on to number 17. It says the lengths of three sides of a triangle are y plus 1, and 7. The perimeter is 56 centimeters. What is the value of y? So let's sketch our triangle real quick. So let's say we have some random triangle like this. This is number 17. Number 17. Let's say one side is y plus 1, and this is 7. Perimeter, what is perimeter? Perimeter is distance around, right? If we add all three lengths. If the perimeter is 56, that means y plus 1 plus y plus 7 is going to be equal to 56. If I add them all together, I'll have 2y plus 8 equals 56. Okay? So what are we looking for? The question asks us to find the value of y, so we need to get y by itself. So how do we do that? We subtract 8 and divide by 2. Okay? So subtract 8 from both sides. We have 2y equals 48. And then divide both sides by 2. We're going to have y equals 24. Alright, so our answer here for number 17 is A. Okay? Alright, let's move on to number 18. Number 18 says Beth is 2 years older than Julio. Gerald is twice as old as Beth. Deborah is twice as old as Gerald. The sum of the ages is 38. How old is Beth? So Beth is written in terms of Julio. So I'm going to say Julio. Let's say Julio. Let Julio's age be J. Okay? Julio is J. So I'm going to say Julio equals J. Beth is 2 years older than Julio. So Beth is going to be 2 plus J because it's 2 years older. Deborah is twice as old as, Gerald is twice as old as Beth. So Gerald is twice as old as Beth. But Beth is 2 plus J, right? So I just double what Beth is. 2 times 2 plus J. Okay, because Beth is 2 plus J. So if I do twice Beth, this is what Gerald is. If I simplify that by distributing, that's going to become 4 plus 2J. That's 2 times Beth. Okay? And then Deborah is twice as old as Gerald. Twice as old as Gerald. But how old is Gerald? Gerald is 4 plus 2J. So I simply double what Gerald is, which is 4 plus 2J. Okay? So if I double that, I distribute the 2 to both of them. It's going to become 8 plus 4J. Okay? The sum of their ages is 38. So how old is Beth? So if I can find J, then I can solve what Beth is because it's 2 plus J. So if I add them all together, I'm going to add J, and then 2 plus J, and then 4 plus 2J, and then 8 plus 4J. Add them all together. That will give me what the sum of the ages is. So if I add them all together, I'm going to get 14 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1 is 4 plus 4, which is 8J. And this sum of all these ages is equal to 38. Alright, so let's solve this for J. So to solve this for J, I'll subtract 14 from both sides. And then I'll have 8J equals 24. Divide both sides by 8. And I have J equals 3. What does this mean? This means that Julio is 3 years old. Is that what the question asked for? No, the question asked for Beth. So if you selected A, you're falling into a trap, right? So we know that Beth is 2 years older than Julio. So Beth is basically what we learned before, 2 plus J. So it's going to be 2 plus 3, which is 5. Our answer here is B. Okay? All right. Let's move on to number 19. It says all positive integers are divisible by 2 or 3, which serves as a counterexample to the statement below. So if you can come up with a number that is not divisible by 2 or 3, then that's your answer. Okay? A, 100. 100 is even. Any number that's even is divisible by 2 because 100 divided by 2 is simply 50. So this is not good. We need something that's not divisible by 2 or 3. Number B, 57. If I add the digits of 57, which is 5 and 7, if this number is divisible by 3, then the number is divisible by 3, right? So 12 goes into 3 4 times. That means this is divisible by 3. Okay? If you wanted to check using long division, we can do that. Can I divide this by 3? Let's do it. 57 divided by 3. 3 goes into 5, 1 times 3, 3. 3 goes into 27 19 times. So it's divisible by 3. So this doesn't work. Number 30. Letter C. 30, is it divisible by 2? Yes. 15 is also divisible by 3. So this is a bad one. How about D? Is 25 divisible by 2? Evenly? Absolutely not, because 25 divided by 2, 2 here, 1, 2, 5, 2, 2, 4, we have a remainder which is 1. And when we divide 25 by 3, this one doesn't go, 0 here, 8, 24, we have a remainder which is 1. So the answer is D. Okay? So there you have it. Alright, let's move on to number 20, and then we'll stop the first part. Okay? So for number 20, it says if x squared equals 4, then x minus 2, then x equals negative 2 or 2. What is the conclusion? So this is an if-then statement. We have if A, then B. The first part is known as the premise, and the last part is known as the conclusion. Okay? Anything that comes after B is your conclusion. So in this statement, if x squared equals 4, this is number 20, then x equals negative 2 or x equals 2. In this statement, the first piece right here is the premise, and this is the conclusion. Okay? So our conclusion is basically D, which is x equals negative 2 or x equals 2. Okay? So there you have it.